When you want your spring break to feel like... and your kids' pool day to feel like... and your hotel bed to feel like... ooh, and room service to feel like... because at Hilton, hospitality feels like...
Your cabana's ready. Would you like fresh towels?
It matters where you stay. Book now at Hilton.com. Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso. Introducing Vertuo Up, the latest in a long line of innovation from Nespresso. It's innovation you can touch, sense, and taste in every single cup. With a 3-second start, easy open lever, and dedicated brew over ice button, it's even easier to enjoy your coffee your way. Sip for yourself. Shop Vertuo Up exclusively at Nespresso.com.
This week, the PGA Tour's best players go primetime with TGL presented by SoFi. In doubleheader action, Atlanta Drive takes on both Boston Common Golf and Los Angeles Golf Club. Plus, 2 primetime matchups on Tuesday. Keep up, it's golf. Tune in Monday and Tuesday at 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern only on ESPN, ESPN2, and the ESPN app.
Howdy, folks, and welcome back to the Hunting Stories podcast, The Hunter's Brief, where we keep it practical, keep it fair, and try not to spill coffee on the map layer you definitely didn't download offline. That being said, guys, I appreciate the feedback from last week's episode. Pretty much unanimously wants me to be doing this rather than the other method, so I'm going to keep that up. That one only will show up, I promise, if I run out of time and I've got some great news that I need to share with you guys. But that being said, this is the week of February 13th through February 20th, 2026, and we've got a handful of stories that hit the core of what hunters care about. We've got transparent wildlife governance, public access you can actually use, and what new science is really saying about big, iconic management stories. Let's get into it. National science first, then policy and enforcement, then state-by-state access and regs. Let's go. New paper challenges the Yellowstone wolves changed everything mega cascade story. All right, Yellowstone wolves. If you've been online longer than 5 minutes, you've seen the claim that wolves come back, elk behaviors change, willows explode, beavers return, rivers heal, world peace breaks out. Well, this week, a new scientific review comment published in the Global Ecology and Conservation argues that at least one high-profile set of cascade claims, especially a massive reported jump in willow growth, leans on method problems, including how willow or crown volume was calculated and how comparisons were made. In plain English, that means the critique says some of the biggest numbers may be artifacts of the math and sampling, not a park-wide transformation you can attribute primarily to wolves. Some important nuance that this is not wolves do nothing. It's more like ecosystems are messy, and Yellowstone has multiple drivers. We have other predators, hunting outside the park, climate variability, fire history, and shifting ungulate dynamics. So the science conversation is moving toward how much, where, and under what conditions wolves drive vegetation change rather than a single viral narrative. This matters because hunters live inside the real-world versions of this debate. Predator policy, ungulate management, and habitat restoration all get argued with science says, and in quotes, headlines. This is a reminder to look for peer review, competing interpretations, and the actual strength of evidence, not just the most cinematic storyline, which apparently we've been using for decades. If a study ever claims your buddy's wolf howl call increased willow crown volume by 1,500%, you can officially request a calculator and a sobriety test. Indiana bill would eliminate the Indiana National Resource Commission. Indiana, a large boards of commission reform bill, House Bill 1003, includes language that would eliminate the Indiana Natural Resource Commission, or NRC. Reporting notes the NRC handles things like dedicated nature preserves, setting certain fees, and serving as a public-facing forum for decisions and interpretations connected to DNR work. Sportsmen and conservation advocates argue that removing the NRC risks pushing decisions into less transparent channels, fewer public meetings, fewer public ways for hunters and anglers to comment, and less of a structured venue for disputes and rule interpretations. Groups are actively urging people to oppose this bill as it moves through the Indiana Senate process, with messaging focused on transparency and keeping a dedicated public forum for fish and wildlife policy. This matters because whether you're in Indiana or not, this is the larger governance trend worth watching. When commissions get removed or weakened, you often don't feel it until the first big conflict. Then everyone's asking, where was the public process? Where did it go? So if you've ever tried to find the right person inside an agency after a policy change, you know sometimes the real endangered species is the clear org chart. Now to dive a little bit into some enforcement, Kentucky Fish and Wildlife announced the close of a year-long investigation into a major poaching case with 6 people charged. The agency says the group is responsible for illegally killing several hundred animals, including deer, turkey, fox, and even domestic pets. According to the agency, the case pivoted during a 2024 traffic stop after wardens observed alleged spotlighting from a vehicle and found multiple .22 firearms, lighting gear, and open alcohol containers. Media coverage of the announcement notes 116 total charges and that one suspect faces a large share of them. This matters because this is the stuff that poisons the well for everybody. Big poaching rings don't just steal wildlife, they corrode public trust. They feed anti-hunting narratives and burn warden time that could be going to real safety and resource protection. If you're the kind of person who spotlight poaches or with open booze in a vehicle, you don't need a new hunting regulation. You need a new life plan. Hey hunters, have you ever had one of those stories, the ones that you didn't want to tell, the ones that end in failure? Yeah, I've been there. Actually, you know what? The culprit for me usually is bad optics, or worse, lack of using my optics at all. Picture this. I spot a trophy buck, or an antelope, or an elk, whatever it may be. My heart is racing, but the blurry view, or I just can't quite identify exactly what I'm looking at, it has me second guessing. Well, that's where Vortex Optics comes in. With crystal clear glass and rugged durability, Vortex gives you the confidence to take the shot. Don't let poor optics ruin your story. Make every moment count. Upgrade to Vortex and turn your hunting tales into triumphs. Visit vortexoptics.com today.
This episode is brought to you by Nordstrom. Ready to refresh your wardrobe? Nordstrom has all the latest styles for spring, from elevated dresses and denim to standout tops and accessories. Discover the trends and essentials you'll reach for again and again. We've got brands you love like Wave, Princess Polly, Mango, Adidas, and Favorite Daughter. Plus free shipping, free returns, and quick order pickup make updating your closet effortless. Shop in stores at Nordstrom.com or download our app.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
Over in Idaho, the U.S. Department of Justice detailed sentencing in a Lacey Act case violation involving illegal bighorn sheep hunts tied to commercial guiding in the area of the Salmon-Challis National Forest, which is actually closed to commercial guiding. The Department of Justice says the outfitter facilitated hunts and guide conducted those, both of which have pled guilty to Lacey Act violations. Sentencing details include probation terms and fines, plus restitution that adds up to roughly $49,000 across the two defendants, along with prohibitions on hunting and on profiting from outfitting guiding during probation. Wild sheep tags are the kind of opportunity you wait a lifetime for, and that's exactly why the temptation exists for shady, closed area shortcuts. Cases like this protect legitimate outfitters, protect the resource, and protect the credibility of the system. If your business model requires just don't tell anyone we're in the closed area, your business model is called future court date. Here's a policy heads up, guys. The Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership flagged that House Agriculture Committee Chairman G.T. Thompson introduced a farm bill proposal, and they emphasized that hunters and anglers depend heavily on the conservation and forestry titles, the parts that can influence habitat on working lands, access incentives, and long-run wildlife carrying capacity. A lot of the best whitetail, turkey, pheasant, and waterfowl habitat is private land habitat. Farm Bill conservation programs are one of the biggest levers for improving that scale. The Farm Bill is like minerals in your diet. You don't get excited about it until you realize what happens when you don't have it. Louisiana's Wildlife and Fisheries Commission ratified emergency action that expands the state's CWD control area in east central Louisiana. They also advanced broader 2627 hunting regulation notices of intent, including language updates related to drones for recovery of mortally wounded deer or bear, and some WMA engine use restrictions. CWD management, why does it matter, you might ask? Well, it's turning into a long game everywhere it shows up. Surveillance, carcass movement rules, feeding bans, and response zones. Hunters are often the early warning system, whether they like it or not. So nothing says modern hunting like arguing about drones, engines, and prions in the same sentence. Wyoming Game and Fish opened public comment for the 2026 season, setting regulations and scheduled public meetings around the state, covering everything from general regs to deer, elk, antelope, moose, sheep, goat, and even birds. This is the clean, legitimate way to influence seasons and opportunities, guys. If you've got an on-the-ground observations, winter kill, herd ratio concerns, access pinch points, this is when that input actually has a lane and matters. Wyoming's doing it right now, but pay attention to your local state governments and get involved when they do set these proposals for future years. If you're going to complain about regs, at least do it during the part where it's called public comment and not just yelling into the tailgate. Staying in Wyoming, House Bill 19 is aimed at codifying that a person doesn't commit trespassing when moving from one public parcel to another at the corner, so long as they don't damage adjacent private land. The bill text lays out that incidental contact associated with corner crossing is not a criminal trespass under specified conditions. Checkerboard access is, of course, one of the biggest paper public issues in the West. Land that is technically public, but functionally is locked around by private parcels on all sides, right? Corner crossing is the only topic where grown adults will argue for 6 hours about whether a bootlace touched imaginary airspace. Keeping it in Wyoming for one more item, the Cowboy State Daily reports a Senate panel unanimously advanced a resolution framed around keeping public lands protected and resisting large federal sell-offs, with testimony from locals describing education, recreation, and community identity tied to public access. This matters because regardless of your politics, hunters tend to agree on one practical truth. If it's public today, you can plan your season around it. If it's private tomorrow, you're checking the for sale sign instead of the wind. Public land is the only inheritance a lot of us actually share. I'd like to keep it that way, guys. All right, folks. That's it for the Hunting Stories podcast, the Hunter's Brief, again, the week of February 13th through February 20th. If you want to support wildlife management that's transparent and science forward, keep an eye on the governance stuff like Indiana's NRC bill, and keep your science takes calibrated like the Yellowstone wolves debate. If you enjoyed this, please share it with your hunting buddies, preferably the one that still thinks CWD is a brand of camo. And don't miss the Monday storytelling episodes because news is important, but there's nothing like a good hunting story, and it's still the reason most of us started listening to this in the first place. So thank you guys so much. If you want to share some stories or some news, please share those with us. You know what to do now, guys. Get out there and make some stories of your own. Thank you.